I haven't watched or listened to the CBC for more than a decade. I don't like their bias. It drives me crazy. And what adds to that is their insistence that they are an objective teller of truth. Their CEO recently called them a beacon of truth, the most reliable source for objective news in Canada. You only have to watch them for about 5 minutes to realize that that's not true, that they have incredible biases, mostly to the liberal left. So I don't watch, I don't listen. So it really disturbs me when you find out that Facebook, during the current election, has made the CBC their fact checker. If there's any dispute about whether or not a site is giving fake news, who gets to decide? Is it a panel of priests? Is it a triumvirate of university professors with degrees in communication? No. It's the very biased state-run broadcaster that sucks up $1.3 billion a year in taxpayer money. In fact, the CBC asked recently for another $200 million because its ad revenues are so bad, it can't get by on the $1.3 billion that it's given. Well, if its ad revenues are bad, why is that? It's because it doesn't have enough viewers, doesn't have enough listeners. Why is that? Well, maybe it's the bias that they have. The CBC would be exactly the wrong people to put in charge of determining whether or not news is objective. Yet Facebook has done that. Is that Facebook's way of winning a little favor with the Trudeau government? Because we know the CBC is very friendly to the Trudeau government, and the Trudeau government really likes the CBC. So maybe Facebook, which faces some new taxes from the federal government, is looking to get a little bit of, not favoritism, but perhaps a softer treatment for the big tech giants by being the fact checker, for making the CBC their fact checker during the election. That could be. I just think that it's an elite mentality that the people at Facebook go to the same kind of cocktail parties, they read the same kind of books, they listen to the same kind of sources that people at the CBC do, and oh wow, the CBC, that would be a great place to go to get facts. They think just like we do. They don't understand that a good portion of Canadians, probably a majority of Canadians, don't trust the CBC. But the CBC are now the official fact checkers for Facebook's Canadian election coverage. And it's part of this whole elite mentality that you and I can't be trusted to know what's right from wrong. We have to have our internet messages filtered for us. It's always dangerous when you start letting someone else decide what you can and cannot see. I mean, it may be nice to think that there's this objective truth out there. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all filter out the bad, only get the good? But the problem is that just doesn't exist. I'll give you a very good example. One party in this election has, for over a week, put out tweets saying that one of the other parties is all in favor of two-tier healthcare. That if you see this video, if you watch this video, you can see the leader of this second party is saying that, he's saying we're going to keep healthcare the way it is now, but he doesn't mean it, because secretly down deep in a footnote in their platform, he says that, he might let doctors have choices. That's the Liberal Party. The very people who brought in Bill C-10, who wanted to control what you could let the CRTC, the Canadian Radio, Television, Telecommunications Commission, decide what you could or could not watch on TV, that party is the first party to have been identified by Twitter as putting out disinformation. You simply cannot have an objective arbiter of what we can and cannot see on the internet. And making the CBC the fact checker for Facebook is proof of that. For Post Media, I'm Lorne Gunter.